We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight. In the queer headlines, Sarasota School Board wants Moms for Liberty founder to quit over her queer sex scandal. Bet she hopes we don't say gay.
The Library of Congress has announced 25 influential movies to join the National Film Registry this year. It includes some significant queer work, who are all in the LGBTQ icon recipients.
No attack of homophobia can stop this Bridgerton actor from being who he is and loving his man.
A fascinating social report suggests that lesbians make more money than straight women. We will tell you why.
A news anchor comes out to viewers during a broadcast, telling her story and finally accepting herself out loud. Now that's what we call a holiday spirit. You will see it.
Hello and welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. It is time to queer up the news. It is Thursday, December 14th, 2023. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
I'm Out South Florida senior reporter John Hayden. This evening we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ+ community from South Florida, America, and around the world.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ+ evening news show. Whatever happens, unique in the LGBTQ+ news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ+ community. Our mission is to support the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of our Black community, Latino, lesbians and queer women, trans, students and youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS, healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ+ media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 39 years of the LGBTQ+ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ+ and broader community.
All right, it is Thursday. The weekend's practically here, so let's get the weekend party started by meeting tonight's panel. And we begin with Dr. Bobby Huen, a certified civil and family mediator and founder of BH Conflict Resolution Services. Originally from Hong Kong and having grown up around the world, Bobby offers us a global perspective on current events. Good to see you again, Bobby.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's great seeing you too.
It always is. Wow. Up next, let's welcome Dr. Julio Capo Jr., a board member of the Stonewall National Museum Archives and Library. He's also a history professor at FIU and the author of the book, Welcome to Fairyland, Queer Miami Before 1940. Welcome back.
Hi, good to see you. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Also, just one quick note about this panel. We've got one person in a sweat or in a jacket and another in a sweatshirt. It is nasty outside.
It is.
So thank you guys for getting in here. Now let's continue to welcome everybody. Dino Mosquera is up next. He joined the Miami Gay and Lesbian Film Festival in the late 90s and now serves on the Outshine Film Festival's board of directors. Welcome back, Dino.
Thank you, my dear.
And finally, Bob Hentschel.
Yay.
He is a professional accountant and on the committee of My Hollywood Pride. He is a member of multiple gay Disney Facebook groups, including the Gay Days Monorail Pub Crawl. Hey, Bob.
Good evening, and My Hollywood Pride is a little over a month away.
Oh, nice.
Last full weekend of January, and we have a new event happening this year. We are having an LGBTQ+ comedy night Saturday before the big event on Sunday. You will want to get tickets because we're at the Cinema Paradiso in Hollywood. There's only 80 seats available.
Wow. That sounds fun.
Yes. New event this year.
Do we know who's going to be performing yet?
We do have some performances. I can tell you that a certain news anchor by the name of Craig Stevens will be making an appearance.
Nice. I love
that's
Craig.
Yes.
Now, he's hosting the main stage from 1 to 3, right?
Most certainly is.
Okay.
That'll be nice.
So will the comedy show be after he comes off main?
Oh, the comedy show is Saturday night.
Okay.
And the main event, the big street fair, is Sunday.
So wait, so my good friend Craig, you know I love you. So my good friend Craig is going to come north of the border 2 days in a row?
Unheard of.
I don't know
that
if
is
he's coming
unheard of.
Saturday. He's coming Sunday.
That's going to be an awesome time. Well, we are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the Queer News headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community around the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the Queer News for today, Thursday, December 14th, 2023. And we begin by queering up education. Sarasota School Board votes for Moms for Liberty founder to quit over queer sex scandal. Bridget Ziegler, co-founder of the anti-LGBTQ group Moms for Liberty, refuses to resign from Sarasota's county school board despite the rest of the board voting for her to go away. Ziegler championed and helped write Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. She recently admitted to a sexual encounter with a woman after that woman accused Ziegler's husband of rape. While Ziegler is not implicated in her husband's alleged crime, many have accused her of hypocrisy for campaigning against LGBTQ plus rights while engaging in a threesome with her husband and another woman. On Monday, the school board voted 4-1 that Ziegler should voluntarily step down. That one vote, of course, was Ziegler. The board cannot, however, force her to do so. Only Governor Ron DeSantis has that power. Some board members, including Democrat Tom Edwards, proposed sending a letter to DeSantis asking him to force Ziegler to step down. But not everyone agrees. A Miami Herald editorial acknowledges Ziegler is a dangerous hypocrite, but says hypocrisy is not a disqualifier for holding office. I mean, and much like the voting populace of Miami, the Herald is getting increasingly more forgiving and carrying the water for people like Ms. Ziegler. And it is the hypocrisy. I don't care if she has a threesome. I hope she has threesomes. I want her to have a good sex life, and I want her to leave me alone. It's the hypocrisy, the rank hypocrisy that this woman has been up here bullying us with literally the bully pulpit. I don't think there's a chance that DeSantis is going to remove her from her seat, even though we all know he is quick to pull the trigger on removing people that he does not like.
Exactly. But also, on the other hand, I can see why Harold, the board head, says it. Because keeping her on the board, she refusing to resign, and is better in a way that it demonstrates that, because if you get her to resign, you're going to sweep everything under the rug and basically pretend that she never existed. Yeah. But if she stays on the board and she keeps saying bigoted things, then we can get the entire board out of office, and we can get the majority, the slate, out of office.
So you're playing the long game.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
But it's the hypocrisy of the Republican Party right now. I mean, it happened with George Santos. I mean, as long as he's...
No, she actually got kicked out, though. He actually got kicked out, though.
But eventually, it was kept for a year just because the numbers were convenient to them and they couldn't get rid of him. Yeah. You know, initially he would not resign either. Yeah. He had to be expelled. Where is Ron DeSantis here? Where are all these evangelical groups that he's, catering to and just, being their leader or their fighter? Where are they? Where is the hypocrisy at best?
Yes. Bob?
Unfortunately, I vaguely remember referring to Moms for Liberty as Planned Parenthood on a prior newscast, but I heard something recently, and I'm never going to be able to get this out of my head, but I'm going to start calling them Moms for Labia now, but that's just...
Oh, God.
I know, but...
But hey...
but here's the thing. If we don't laugh, we got to start laughing at these people, because really it's the only weapon we have anymore, because as much as I'd like to thin the herd, I don't have that luxury or that liberty. So all I can do is point and laugh.
Well, go ahead.
And I feel like independent of all this. So one, this reminds me mostly of the Jerry Falwell Jr. kind of blowout, which it really does. And it also took place in Miami, in Miami Beach. And
because of course it is.
But right. And I'll just note, it's not like the Miami Herald was ever kind of a leftist newspaper or something. I want to be very clear that it's not like it's moving right. It's kind of always been. Okay. And, but also, for me, what the most important part of the story is just to remind people of how incredibly important your school board elections are. That is like, people often look the other way about how like, it actually has more impact on your everyday life than many, many other points of elected office. So it's just so important to remember that.
The good news is her election was the exception to the rule, because the vast majority of these Moms for Liberty candidates did not get in.
That is true. Yeah. And Bobby, and I congratulate you. I think you're smart, wanting to play the long game and get them all out of office. But I'm willing to take the short-term gain. This discredits Moms for Liberty. And we still got the million moms out there and all that. But I really believe this is if it's not a blow to the movement, it's a blow to this group. And you know what? They have been so vocal and against us these last few years. I'll take the win now. I'll say, shut up. Go away, let our children learn. Create a learning environment, not a discriminatory environment.
I mean, the worst thing about these Karen people is that they actually are reversing societal acceptance of trans people. Yes. Or LGBTQ plus as a whole. These women, these bigoted women who came out absolutely nowhere and started screaming, and now people are actually declining to support LGBTQ plus rights, especially trans rights, and that's really concerning.
Bob, you want to come back in for one last comment?
I was going to say it's not. They're trying to shove a religious agenda down our throats, and I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
All
right. Next, let's queer up entertainment. Madonna, Brokeback Mountain, and more become queer, official part of American film history. What do the original Material Girl, the Brokeback Mountain director, and the famed songstress have in common? Their art is heading to Washington, D.C. The Library of Congress announced 25 influential movies that will join the National Film Registry, an archive dedicated to preserving titles deemed to be of cultural, historical, or aesthetic importance to preserve the nation's film heritage. Every year since 1988, the organization selects 25 new films for historic preservation. And this year's crop includes everything from animated Disney classic Lady and the Tramp to searing history epic 12 Years a Slave, to two seasonally appropriate family favorites, Home Alone and The Nightmare Before Christmas. Most exciting for us is the inclusion of 3 LGBTQ plus classics. That is 1980's generation-defining musical Fame, Madonna's 1985's Desperately Seeking Susan, and 1993's Asian-American rom-com, The Wedding Banquet. They'll be joining other queer cinema classics like LGBTQ plus Western Red River, landmark ballroom documentary Paris is Burning, and John Waters' subversive throwback Hairspray. In other words, the registry just keeps getting gayer and gayer. I mean, I have to say, among the things I'm most excited about too, I'm happy that there's more LGBTQ inclusion right in these spaces, which we're seeing more and more of. But actually, I was looking at the list just before this, the list is really inclusive in terms of films that spoke to immigrant movements, to people of color. Terminator 2 is on there, I should note. 20 Feet from Stardom, that documentary about backup singers that was fairly recent, the last 10 years, 15 years, that's on there. If you've never seen that film, it's so good. I was really surprised by the kind of diversity of the selections here. It's really...
I'm excited that Brokeback Mountain is in the mix. I mean, that movie really changed everything for me. It really did.
Yeah, how so?
It was the first time that I saw that love story, being portrayed in American cinema the way they did. Even though it didn't win the Oscar, I can't believe that Crash won that year. Yeah. It should have won the Oscar. But yeah, that movie just Well, it was that, and before that was Torchstone Trilogy, which I hope that one day they also, that movie. In fact, that movie took me out of the closet.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So.
Bob?
I'm choking right now at the moment. No, excuse me. I like that they're including queer films because it's really important. First off, visibility is important, but so much of our history has been covered up, erased, in some cases burned at the stake. So, and I would like to see Torch Song Trilogy included in this, although I'm still kind of traumatized by Torch Song Trilogy, that one gay bashing scene.
It's hard.
God bless Rob Ladislaw, who was dating me at the time, who just let me cry on his shoulder. But, I hope that somehow there's a backup copy somewhere, because if, God forbid, these people come into power, they're going to burn those.
Yeah.
I mean, I have nothing to say. I love.
Wait, well, that's a first.
Yeah, I know. Wow.
Is anybody surprised that Desperately Seeking Susan?
I am.
I have a little bit
is on the list. I mean,
it's not my favorite film.
Not either. Not mine either. I mean, it's Madonna. Maybe that's why.
That's why Madonna.
That's why, because Madonna is in it.
Though it did kind of. It's almost like a snapshot of a moment. Like it feels very kind of like.
I just can't believe that's
very
got in
80s.
first over Torchstone Trilogy.
I know.
I just can't.
Well, and there'll be 25 more next year, and
what was the name of that one where Harry Hamlin kisses the guy for the first time in American cinema? What was the name of that movie? And Kate. Kate, the Charlie's Angels was also
Kate
there.
Jackson.
Kate Jackson.
That was a TV movie, I believe.
Right. That movie was also like one of those that changed the culture. For the first time, two guys kiss in a
right.
I remember when Brokeback Mountain came out in theaters. Of course, it wasn't long ago, right? And for me, it was a pivotal moment. Like that is to see that coming out in that space and like being there and being like. It was like the first time really you kind of, but also it still fell in that trope of like the end, without ruining any spoiler alerts or anything.
Okay, well, it's been 15 years.
Right.
Okay, no spoilers.
But that is
no
like,
spoilers.
It did goes to that trope too, which I feel like today we now have so much representation that it feels like we're so fortunate because for a long time, it really was like you had three options for like in a span of 10 years. And like,
it was like Priscilla, it was Tu Wong Fu,
The Birdcage,
and The Birdcage. That was what we had. And those were three strong films that still.
And you just named the three.
Today,
But you named the three films that doesn't include the old tropes of, gay bashing, noble suffering AIDS patients, or, friends and family of noble suffering AIDS patients. And that was dominating the cinematic narrative of LGBTQ plus people for a long time. And now we can see finally something that in Brokeback, not in Brokeback Mountain, but in other, more layered characters. That being gay is just part of the character, not the defining feature of the character.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're coming up on the holiday season. We've got that week between Christmas and New Year. Check out this list, rent some, stream some on your television, watch, enjoy, learn, and appreciate our culture.
Next, let's queer up entertainment. Bridgerton's Jonathan Bailey suffers homophobic attack in DC, but there's a lovely man in his life. Bridgerton actor Jonathan Bailey is opening up about a moment he feared for his life, all because he's gay. He shared experience from his recent trip to Washington, D.C. to attend an annual political event for the Human Rights Campaign. He told the Evening Standard that when he went to a coffee shop wearing a Human Rights Campaign cap, a man arrived behind him and asked if he was famous. Jonathan replied, quote, "I'm really famous for ordering coffee." End quote. In the next moment, the man pulled Jonathan's cap, threw it across the room, and shouted at him, saying, quote, "Get out of the fucking shop, you queer," end quote. When Jonathan went to collect his hat, the attacker shouted, quote, "If you don't take that cap off, I'm going to fucking shoot you. Where I'm from, people like me kill people like you," end quote. Bailey was shocked, especially with the timing of HRC event. However, he also revealed this and such events are not going to stop him from being who he is. Jonathan gave insights into his own relationship status and confirmed he is currently in a relationship with a lovely man. Queer News Tonight notes that Washington, D.C. has the largest percentage of LGBTQ plus residents of any state in America and will be hosting the 2025 World Pride. I mean, the balls on these people. It's just, well, first of all, kudos for actually recognizing the HRC logo. I mean, half the homophobes don't even know what that is.
Right.
They only attack when they see rainbow, which...
Well, they also attack the equal sign now because they will have no part of equality.
Yeah, well, they never wanted equality to begin with. They don't want racial equality. They don't want gender equality. They don't want any equality.
Yeah.
Where is the media? Where is the news? I never saw this in the news until now. We are reporting about it. Where is this? I mean, this is a guy that is very much a very well-known actor right now. How
He
is
probably
this
didn't
making it?
He probably didn't report it.
Yeah, he probably didn't report it.
Right, and I'm going to throw another, those of us old enough to remember a certain actor by the name of Jesse Smollett who faked it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, this was, first off, I didn't even know the guy was gay. I'll die mad he didn't go after me, but that's another story for another night. But, it's like, unfortunately, if there's no videotape, it's like it didn't happen. I mean, and meanwhile, the whole story is totally plausible and believable because I'm sure every one of us has had it happen to us at some point in our lives.
I'm happy. That's what I was thinking. That is like, as it's hard not to. I did not know. I've seen Bridgerton, and I knew this actor, and I didn't know his name, and I didn't know he was openly gay until recently. No, I feel maybe I'm a disappointment, but I didn't know this. But also, he's such a cutie. I didn't know. Like anyway, neither here. That's entirely irrelevant. But the humanity of the story, that is like, it's horrible to have to say this out loud, but that is like, we've all, or so many of us have experienced some version of this, right? And that is, and unfortunately it's too regular and too commonplace, even today, as he's noting, right? Even as someone who's well known and well protected, and I imagine by way of his status, by way of his, and that is like, it also just feels like a story that's it could have happened to any one of us, because it has happened to any one of us. And that's hard to hear, and all the more gratitude, Jonathan Bailey, who I'm not going to be to thank you for saying it, right? No, I'm a married woman.
No, but I'm not.
Okay, but I'm grateful for you for saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a story this week that I wrote in Out South Florida, and it's online now. Island City Stage on Dixie Highway, which is now it's a part of the heart of Wilton Drive, was vandalized on Tuesday morning. And this just sort of reinforces the point that we need to always have our backs. We've all suffered or encountered, I wouldn't say I suffered from it,
It happened at this church.
Yes, here at this church. But we've all suffered.
There were anti-gay messages posted on the church last year sometime.
Yeah, well, no, just a couple months ago, someone tried to start a fire outside the church during services. And so, yes, in coffee houses, in theaters, in our churches, in our bars, we need to be careful because it's the places where we feel the safest that we're going to be attacked. We've all suffered microaggressions at some point, someone saying fag or he's got to go put his dress on. And I'm like, oh my God, first of all, just try and be original in your gay bashing. I've been called fag. I've heard it all. You're still terrible people. At least try and be creative about it. You know what I'm saying? What?
If there are any creative, they wouldn't be bigots.
That's true. So my point.
That's funny.
You're absolutely right, though. It's funny because it's true.
It's lack of imagination that leave them on the dogmatic path.
You're not wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Next, let's queer up lesbian culture. New analysis finds lesbians make more money than straight women. Here's why. Lesbians tend to make more money than straight women. It's a phenomenon known as the lesbian wage premium. And recently, Area Vels shared a video explaining exactly why this may be. And it's honestly fascinating.
Why do lesbians earn more money than straight women? For years, social scientists have observed that lesbians consistently out-earn straight women. According to a meta-analysis of 30 international studies, gay women earn an average of 9% more than straight women, with variations by country. This has been observed so often that it even has a name, the lesbian wage premium. So why is that? Why do lesbians, particularly in the US, out-earn straight women? We can start at the obvious. Lesbians tend to be more educated than straight women, are less likely to have children, live more predominantly in cities, have more professional jobs, but even when controlling for all of these factors, the lesbian wage premium is still present. So what else could it be? Well, one hypothesis is that it could have to do with the division of labor among the households, and so to look at that, we also have to look at the gender wage gap a bit. While the gender wage gap has certainly gotten smaller, one of the reasons why the gap still exists is the expectations that women face for domestic and emotional labor that men tend not to have. Generally, in heterosexual couples, the women are more likely to be the primary child rearer and family caretaker, and they are more likely to take on the domestic labor responsibilities at home, meaning that women will often have to make the trade-off for advancing their career in order to maintain the house, while men usually just have to focus on their careers. In contrast, lesbian households have more equal domestic labor distributions among the couple than straight households. There is not one partner who tends to oversee domestic responsibilities and one partner who is able to focus more on work and earn money. Both lesbian partners generally contribute more equally to the household and their careers, meaning that lesbians do not face the same trade-offs that straight women do when it comes to focusing more on their family or their career, and that translates into lesbians being able to earn higher wages. Interestingly, when you look at the wages of lesbians who have lived with a previous male spouse and lesbians who have never lived with a male spouse, the lesbian wage premium is significantly more present for the lesbians who have never lived with a male spouse. The lesson here is not that lesbians are better at making money. It reconfirms that the domestic labor situation at home contributes to how women earn more outside the home, and lesbians have just learned that lesson first.
Area says that for years, social scientists have observed that lesbians consistently out-earn straight women. According to a meta-analysis of 30 international studies, gay women earn an average of 9% more than straight women, with variations by country. If true, the question is why? Vels has some thoughts. One could be that lesbians tend to be more educated than straight women. Others include lesbians are less likely to have children, live more predominantly in cities, and have more professional jobs. Then Area reaches the hypothesis that the lesbian wage premium could be directly tied to gender roles. In straight couples, women generally do most of the domestic work and childcare. Lesbian homes tend to share duties more equally. I find this fascinating. I love these kind of studies that explore within our community. And I actually know I have gone to school and I have worked with some of the smartest lesbians, and I'm not surprised. And yeah, the gender role is definitely something that I totally believe that it supports this hypothesis. I mean, there is not such a thing as being the breadwinner, always thinking, you had to be the man. So in our relationship, this doesn't play that role. I mean, we can, switch the role and it works both ways. And education, we are more educated. There is no doubt about it. So.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. I also love these kinds of studies. That is I feel like we don't talk about like kind of LGBTQ economics or kind of us at the workforce enough, because these are really big issues that affect our everyday lives, and somehow they kind of they get put behind other things like cultural and so on, which are also, of course, very significant. But that is I remember the whole DINK phenomenon, the double income, no kids, like this, and largely was disproven. And like that there's always been kind of, but this, by the way, also, I did not know Area Vels before. I want to go follow them right now. That explanation was incredible, and I really like how they broke it all down. But one of the things that I really, really appreciate here is the clear story is sexism, right? Like that is at the kind of core, is at the kind of, at the societal level, at the home, like the kind of double labor. This is really what it's exposing, right? Like that is what we're seeing is the kind of disproportionate way that gender, especially those who are lean, feminine, who are read as women, who so on and so forth, have this kind of double burden, right? A triple burden often, and so on and so forth. And this is playing out in this very clear study. And I want to read this study.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
I have to dovetail with, because the thought I had was, oh, great, lesbians are making 9% more than straight women. Women are still underpaid, period, end of statement.
Right.
There was something else, and this is good news because I'm old enough to remember when lesbians were at the bottom of the economic scale, and a lot of them were living in poverty, especially as they got older and had to retire. So, I think I want to read this study too, or, and what Julio said is true. We don't talk enough about us as a labor force, as an economic force, our economic issues, because, and I remember saying this on a, prior, we are not taught to value ourselves as LGBTQ plus people, and that they play into that. And we, to a certain level, allow them to play into that.
And he talks also about the importance of coming out and being supported by your family, because a lot of people that basically, have to drop out of school.
Right.
So because they came out, they have no support at home, and they don't have the financial support, they can continue their education. This is one of the consequences.
Well said.
Right. The fact that we are supported and we can, I say it for myself. I had to stay in the closet to complete my career and, to complete my schooling. Yeah. And it's very important that you are supported and that you can, fulfill your dreams and, you can get to marriage or to a relationship or whatever you want to do in life, fully educated, with the plan that you had when you were young.
Well, I'd like to bring in Bobby, and I want to keep you in the conversation because you both are from other countries originally, and this study references that adjustments were made by countries. What is the dissection of labor in the household as in heterosexual and homosexual in other countries? Is the division of labor still as down the line as it used to be, or are other countries coming up faster?
I'll speak for myself. from a different background probably than Bobby's, but there is a lot of the patriarchal, design of the home. It's changing, however, in cities, and, women are getting, in my school, we were 50-50. Maybe women were more and I went to medical school, so women were becoming doctors. And, but again, I speak for myself. As a doctor, as a physician, being out as a doctor was a risk. It was a high risk. I was probably not going to be able to finish medical school. So I had to stay in the closet until I finished medical school. So, but again, this is me in the 90s. So maybe, things are changing, but it's not much of a change. And I can guarantee you in the countryside it's even worse. So,
Bobby?
Well, meanwhile, in Asia, the patriarchal attitude most certainly remains. Although there are, in places such, even in Hong Kong, which is a long time, being very westernized, the expectation has always been, women would have a career, but she's expected to be a mother, like when she got married, But there are professional women out there. I left that city a long time ago. During the dinosaur years. So I can't tell you, what actually is happening now in terms of gender equality. But I would say that the patriarchal attitude of, men is the breadwinner has always been there. And that's not even counting countries such as Korea and Japan, where the attitude is, and China, where the attitude is still certainly there.
Okay. You're right, Julio, that a lot of those stereotypes were disproven over time. It's interesting that what makes this interesting to me is that it's proving a stereotype correct. Like, it's one of those things that we've all sort of joked about, and I certainly have, made some of my lesbian friends buy me drinks because they make more money than me. It's something that we've joked about. But for this study to come out and say, yes, this is a real thing, and I hope that it's something that our heterosexual men and women can take a page from and say, look, there's a better way to do this without just being you all this one role and you all this. Roles have to cross over now.
I also think that there's one of the reasons the study, without having read it, that seems much stronger is that it's not kind of conflating all LGBTQ people in the same kind of space, right? Like that is, it's hard to just like, in terms of LGBTQ, the kind of differences in access to male privilege, to class privilege, to race, so on and so forth. That is a kind of, and here we're kind of looking at a particular group and the kind of, and that way, like the DINK phenomenon was really, conflating, like as it just didn't work in the same way. And here, I mean, again, I would love to read this because it's fascinating, and we need to talk more about this. Like we need to be more comfortable talking about economics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next, let's queer up lesbian culture. Watch Ohio TV news anchor come out live on air by accident. The holiday season is getting better and better for the community, be it busting a conservative, hypocritical mom or fearlessly coming out on television.
Well, I know we both are from Ohio, but do you have to travel anywhere this holiday season?
No, not really. Well, I guess I do. I'll go to like an hour and 45 minutes to my parents' house, but it's actually really nice for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And I got to stay home. My family came to me.
Look at you.
Beautiful.
Very
for
spoiled. I know the extent of my traveling is probably going to Cleveland to visit my girlfriend. That's about it.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Well, as families everywhere are organizing their plans for the holiday season, AAA is predicting more than 55 million people will travel 50 miles or more through the holiday travel period.
Spectrum News 1 Ohio anchor Taylor Bruck recently came out to viewers during a broadcast telling her story with what she called one simple yet scary word. While talking about holiday plans, Bruck said, quote, "The extent of my traveling is probably going to visit my girlfriend in Cleveland, and that's about it," end quote. Afterwards, she posted on Instagram that saying girlfriend on air for the first time might not matter to many people when they heard it. Still, for her, it's a step toward accepting and loving herself fully and being authentic on and off the air. Bruck told People that her decision was a spur of the moment and had lasting consequences. After the news broadcast, messages started pouring in from all around the world, including Ghana, Germany, Australia, London, as well as many states across the U.S., telling her how much this visibility meant to them. Bruck said she has been open about her sexuality on social media, but an on-air acknowledgement was the icing on the cake. First off, thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to say, where's the gay weatherman making that accident? Because, I mean, speaking just for myself, if you were to ask me, name the GLBTQ sports figures or news figures or actresses, I'm going to go to the women first before I can name any men, because they're the ones, at least to me, who, they're just the ones coming out more and more frequently. It's like, we finally had a hockey player, and I'm 58 years old.
But we have a lot of outed gay broadcasters in South Florida. We were just talking about Chris Stevens, which we love.
And who's been out for many
years.
Yeah.
I don't think he was ever in.
Right.
Right, I don't think he was ever in. He's very vocal and very representative of the community. I love him. I love you, Craig. So, but yeah, it's true. Blink it and you miss it, this video. She mentioned it in a very casual, which is what I do all the time with my straight co-workers, referring to my male boyfriend or partner or whatever. You have to be casual like that, and I think it's good. But what I appreciate the most is what she did after the video.
I'm on the same. I was thinking the same thing, because as I was listening to it, it actually just sounded like, like my girlfriend, like my friend.
Yeah,
right? Like that is. It was so clear that she wanted to come out, because she didn't have to follow it up with a really. This is so beautiful and such a testament to thank you. I'm not surprised so many people were touched by this and it resonated with them. That is it was a maybe she not by accident, but it kind of slipped or whatever she said. But then she made a conscious effort to say I want to clarify that I meant girlfriend like my, like my
not like from the late '80s, like girlfriend.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my friends
Like
still
I
say
call you girlfriend.
I call you girlfriend all the time, Dino. Like we're here just squirrel friends.
But
but
it's important to note that the fact that she needs to say it out loud is basically the spell identity erasure. Like often, if we don't say it out loud to identify who we are ourselves, then the society at large tends to say, oh, they're just roommates, or they're very good friends. J. Edgar Hoover lived with this guy for an entire life, but they're just very good friends.
And we had a picture, I don't know if we can bring it back, but there was a picture of her with her girlfriend.
They're beautiful.
I'm presuming it's her girlfriend. And they're on a step and repeat, a little background behind them, and it was at their Emmy Awards. So not only is she a meteorologist, she's a very good meteorologist, because if she was at this, the odds are she was nominated for an Emmy. So you go, she's queer, and she's competent. And that is wonderful. We love you.
If I can also just add, the other part of the story that I was looking at is the anchor who she's speaking to, right? Doesn't skip a beat. Like, that is like, kind of was just like, like that is like, it just felt like it was just absolutely just like having a normal conversation.
Well, and I think a lot of it is, because, before we sit down here to do the show, we're all out in the green room, we're talking, and I'm sure the co-anchor has known for years.
Of course, probably.
She's probably been to the Emmys with them. Right. She's probably, been out for drinks with them. So for the coworker, it's not like,
no, she was
there were no pearls being blushed. It was just kind of like the same thing they'll talk about in the newsroom is what they talked about on set. And I tell you, from 25 years of experience in working in daily television, that's exactly how it happens. Yeah. That's exactly what goes on. Those little things aren't usually scripted out. That was just a real moment. It was real for her. It was real for her friends, and it's real for the LGBTQ+ community of Ohio. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Next, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Visit Lauderdale, accommodates one of the best places for holiday lights and decorations. It's the most wonderful time of the year in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Lights are twinkling, decorations are abundant, and holiday cheer can be found around every palm tree. From Las Olas Boulevard to Gulfstream Park, Greater Fort Lauderdale is brimming with festive splendor. Visit Lauderdale brings you the list of the best places to experience holiday lights and decorations while you are in Greater Fort Lauderdale. It includes Fort Lauderdale's oldest surviving home, the historic Stranahan House Museum, historic Bonnet House Museum and Gardens, Las Olas Oceanside Park, Intracoastal Waterway, Trade Winds Park, Flamingo Garden, and Gulfstream Park's Villages Symphony in Lights holiday celebration. Visit Lauderdale knows best how to make your spirits bright with so many amazing spots. For our LGBTQ+ viewers in South Florida, join the holiday festivities this year. And for our LGBTQ+ viewers across the world, start planning your travel to Fort Lauderdale and Broward County for the best time of year to visit, the holidays from Thanksgiving to New Year. Visit Lauderdale, everyone under the sun.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
Well, we finish tonight's queer news headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up gay culture. Our Fund 5th South Florida LGBTQ plus Philanthropy Awards announced for February 3rd. The 2024 South Florida LGBTQ Philanthropy Awards by Our Fund is scheduled to take place on Saturday, February 3rd. Sponsored by Bank of America, the night will celebrate outstanding philanthropists who give their time, their talent, and their treasure to South Florida LGBTQ plus community. The reception starts at 5:30 in the Riverview Ballroom, followed by the award presentation. Honorees include Michael Kalb, Philanthropist of the Year; Nikki Lopez, Commitment to a Cause Award; Floatorama, Next Generation of Philanthropy Award; Larry Heyer, Dick Schwartz, Award for Lifetime Achievement. Through the Philanthropy Awards, Our Fund demonstrates the great value of thinking about LGBTQ plus community support through legacy giving. Our Fund creates millions of dollars of support to LGBTQ plus supporting and nonprofit organizations in South Florida in arts, education, youth housing, media, health, and countless other projects that would not occur without your philanthropy. More information and tickets are now available at ourfund.org.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up trans rights. Caitlyn Jenner is not an LGBTQ plus ally. What did she say now? Well, Caitlyn Jenner, one of the most famous transgender people in the world, says trans women aren't real women. In a recent interview with John Cleese on UK TV, the show The Dinosaur Hour, Jenner also claimed President Joe Biden is trying to ruin women's sports and condemned what she considers woke attitudes. Jenner, who came out as trans in 2015, said she lives her life as a woman, has had all her gender markers changed on her identification documents, and uses women's public restrooms. But she considers herself a trans person, not a woman.
Well, even the NCAA is doing things about trans athletes. But now, Joe Biden, who's been on the wrong side of every issue in history, says we have to open up Title IX to make it gender identity, not women.
Really?
Which would kill women's sports, backed by $10 million by George Soros, okay? Backed by George Soros. So now Joe Biden is literally trying to ruin women's sports by letting anybody who just identifies as a woman go in and compete. It would destroy women's sports. It would discourage women. It is ridiculous. So with Fairness First, that's what we're doing. We're raising money to go out and fight this issue because it's not going away.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up the world view. Russian riot police raiding a gay bar. Russian police continue their anti-LGBTQ plus terror, raiding yet another gay bar. A video posted by Russian media outlet shows the raid taking place just weeks after the highest court designated LGBTQ plus activists as extremists. And the new definition of extremism? Any LGBTQ plus existence. The video appears to show riot officers entering a darkly lit bar or club and then abruptly cutting the music and turning the lights on. The officers are heard yelling, and then about a dozen or so patrons and staff members are seen filing out. The video was recorded inside Fame, a gay bar in Ekaterinburg, Russia. Police similarly raided gay bars in Moscow the previous weekend.
Добрый вечер, уважаемые граждане. УД города, проверка питейного заведения. Значит, готовим документы к проверке. Выходим все в гардероб, получаем одежду. Обследуем автобус патрульно-постовой службы для проверки личности, документов, наличие запрещенных предметов. Давай выходим сюда. Давай к себе. Далее на выход, все. Давай. Так, персонал, попрошу привести сюда.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up entertainment. Watch Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya in new Dune Part 2 trailer. Young queer icons Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya are returning to Arrakis in the new trailer for Dune Part 2. The new trailer picks up some time after the first movie ended with Chalamet's Paul Atreides and Zendaya's Freeman warrior Chani being a couple. But the movie isn't about their relationship. The trailer shows plenty of the epic sci-fi action that we can expect to see in the movie, with vast armies facing off against each other and explosions aplenty. In addition to Chalamet and Zendaya, Dune Part 2's cast include Oscar-nominated Elvis actor Austin Butler, Midsommar's Florence Pugh, queer favorite Léa Seydoux, Christopher Walken, and returning cast members Rebecca Ferguson, Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, and stunning Charlotte Rampling.
It's okay. I'm here. It's been a while since you've had one of those nightmares. Tell me, what was it about?
It's only fragments. Nothing's clear. You've been fighting the Harkonnens for decades.
Look!
My family's been fighting them for centuries.
Your blood comes from dukes and great houses. Here, we're equal. What we do for the benefit of all.
Well, I'd very much like to be equal to you.
Maybe I'll show you the way.
Deal with this prophet. Send assassins.
Fade Rother. He's psychotic.
I see possible futures all at once. And in so many futures, our enemies prevail. But I do see a way. There is a narrow way through. My allegiance is to you. Do you believe me?
This is a form of power that our world has not yet seen. The ultimate power.
I want you to know I will love you as long as I breathe.
You will never lose me as long as you stay who you are.
Consider what you're about to do, Paul Atreides.
Silence!
This prophecy is how they enslave us! You are not prepared for what is to come.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up business. Hey, Dylan Mulvaney, Kid Rock is drinking Bud Light, serving it in his restaurant again. Wait, what? Self-proclaimed anti-woke musician Kid Rock has decided to support Bud Light again, despite previously shooting cans of the beer after the company worked with trans TikTok star Dylan Mulvaney. In April, Kid Rock filmed himself shooting cases of the beer with an assault-style rifle. However, recently, in an interview with Tucker Carlson, the musician revealed he's over his outrage and ready to endorse the beer again. He said the company made a mistake and it has got the message. That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, and we know it is, share this news with your friends and your family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ plus news broadcast right now, possibly on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells this type of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm John Hayden. And on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Dr. Bobby Huen, Dr. Julio Capo Jr., Dr. Dino Mosquera, and just to round out the panel, Dr. Bob Hentschel. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. And to our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you a good night.